A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the Evening Review. My name is Toiwan Jabela, your host. Tonight on the platform, we are joined by Charles Mukwaso. He's an engineer, but also perhaps in the context of this interview, he is the registrar of the Engineering Council of Namibia, ECN. We have seen, of course, headlines that came out of the council in recent days following the dismissal of the board, or the council as they call it, of the council by Works and Transport Minister Veikko Nekundi. And today, Mr. Mukwaso held a press conference to reflect on the developments and, of course, to assure the engineering community of the need for unity and calmness in amid these developments. So thank you very much, Charles, for making time.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, wonderful. Maybe to start with, the engineering council, is it a voluntary body? Is it a state body? What is it?
It's a statutory body established by an act of parliament, currently the Engineering Profession Act of 1986.
Okay.
Unfortunately, after independence, nothing much has happened in terms of that act being modernized. Mm-hmm. So it is a statutory body that reports through the minister to parliament. It's accountable to the people of Namibia. So it's not a voluntary association. It does not belong to individuals.
Okay. What does it do, the council?
So the primary function of the council is to regulate the engineering profession. So with regulation, you you get a lot of associated functions, such as you register people that are qualified and are interested in practicing engineering, and then you monitor or you evaluate, regulate their practice, their conduct, and so on. Mm-hmm. And you also, the council also is responsible for setting standards in engineering, making sure that there is compliance with those standards. So standards you're talking about in academia, when engineering programs have to be taught in university and so on. Mm. Also making sure that those that study engineering outside Namibia, when they return to the country, those qualifications are also assessed to see if they are in par with what the council expects. Mm. It also includes standards that the industry itself must adhere to. So how to practice engineering, what rules to follow, and what measures to take when certain eventualities happen, and so on. Mm. So the functions are quite broad, but also quite stringent. Mm. And every person that has to practice engineering in the country must comply with those standards. And there are many councils worldwide actually doing the same thing for their respective jurisdictions.
Yeah. I mean, probably the best known, one of the best known in Namibia is also the Medical Council.
Yeah, yes.
Where graduate doctors and whatnot, they have to go there, subject themselves to the processes.
Yes.
Before they can practice. So yes. It makes sense now. How do you make your money? Are you fully funded, or do you have, through your activities, make money maybe when people register and whatnot?
Yes, so the funds of the ECN currently, so that's the Engineering Council of Namibia, are primarily from the engineers that we register. Okay. So they pay registration fees, application fees, and also annual maintenance fees to maintain their registrations, to make sure they're always in good and regular standing. Yeah. And then also from the issuance of good standing certificates to those that are applying for tenders and so on. We also do generate revenue from things like accreditation of programs, not really accreditation, but endorsement of academic programs. And various other ways that we try and innovatively see how else to generate income.
In the state?
We don't get anything currently from the state. Okay. There is no provision for that in the current act. Hopefully, once we get the new bill passed as an act of parliament, hopefully that will be one of the things that can start happening, because we have seen it with other councils, other professional bodies. They have that in their provisions, in their regulation.
Yeah. Now, to the issue at hand, Mr. Mukwaso. So, your press statement today suggests that you sort of listed what transpired leading to the developments. Why can you, just for those who did not get a chance to listen to your statement this afternoon?
Yes. So it's really unfortunate, and I've said that it's quite sad and painful. Because it's someone who has worked there, and most of the time the subject of a lot of assault and so on. It has not been easy. You know, I have learned to tolerate and endure certain things. It was not so easy in the beginning, but it's getting better. I've never been a politician. I have never been attacked on stage or blackmailed or defamed and so on. So this is the first time some of the things have been happening. But just to summarize the essence, I do not. I'll say categorically that I'm not really aware of the final conclusions that the minister made. It's not my place to actually examine that, or it's not my role. So what I'm speaking about may actually not be the reasons. I'm not sure on that front. But what I can inform the nation is that it has been terrible. Starting September 2022, this body was appointed on the 31st of August, 2022. That was the last day of the month, so they basically began functioning from September onwards. So it has not been easy. We have been dealing with situations where you can see that the environment is just about gossip. It's about blackmail. It's about manufacturing of information, lies, lack of honesty, and so on. And I'm not the only one who will actually say this. Some of the council members, because obviously it's almost impossible to have all 10 of them behaving the same way. So there are those that were not part of this whole thing. They will tell you the same thing, that the body lost credibility a long time ago because of these conducts. They are not honest among each other. They are not honest with us as the staff members of the Engineering Council. Now, so many things, people bring personal issues to work. Some people are bringing personal vendettas. Because as you know, before I joined the Engineering Council, actually, I really mobilized. I did a lot in terms of the engineering profession in this country. And one of those things was to push for reforms at the Engineering Council. All of this information is well recorded, the media well reported on these things. So it eventually led to the board that time being expelled again, just like now. It's just that time, I think there was no announcement. Maybe there was, but I can't remember. Nobody really knew it had happened, but that's exactly what happened. The minister decided to withdraw them, right? So one of the members that time happens to be Madam Teki, who was also a member this time. So I thought we were doing something for our people. I didn't know someone was carrying revenge, like vengeance within themselves. I only realized when all of these problems started happening and we went for hearing, and she said that I caused their removal back then. That's when it clicked to me that no, this is personal, right? So because of that personal vendetta, it has been conflict after conflict. I can tell you, one matter gets concluded today, tomorrow is another one. They insult one another on emails. She writes to the minister and says the worst things you can say to your boss, right? And then you can just imagine, like, you're doing this in my face and you're my boss, and I'm seeing what you're doing to your boss. So it happened like that. There was maladministration, confusion, lack of leadership, no council meetings. you can't run an organization like that. There were constant fights with the staff members, a lot of things, and attempts to register people based on what they believe in as, like, in terms of religion or where they come from and so on. Coming to my office telling me register this one, and then if I say no, obviously I don't actually register people. It's something that surprised me. So then when you refuse, or when you ask for an explanation or for a council resolution to support certain instructions, then you are labeled as unwanted. And that's how all of these problems started and so on.
Yeah.
Yes.
In your press statement, you said something to the effect that the last council meeting, if that is the way you call it,
Yes.
Took place, I think, in July 2024.
Yes.
Meaning, since then, nearly a year later.
Yes. Yes.
July starts tomorrow. There hasn't been any.
None.
How do you operate in a space like that as a CEO, essentially, in your position, when there's no guidance from above?
It's been quite very difficult. You get into situations whereby you must explain to those that are expecting you to deliver why you're not delivering. Because remember, there are certain things that actually need board approval or the input from the board, oversight, and all of these things. So you are keeping a bunch of files, a bunch of issues, matters that have been submitted for months. We have people that have submitted applications for registration, but because they are registered in other jurisdictions, for example, in South Africa, with the Engineering Council of South Africa, usually the approach would be like that you don't really take these people through a normal assessment process, because these people have already been assessed by EXA, right? So, but then it still requires council endorsement. So those people have been waiting since September 2024. And a lot of people do not even know that this is not my doing, it's not the office doing.
Yeah.
This is because oversight is absent, it's AOL. So it's been very, very difficult. Quite a number of things. We get a lot of requests to provide information or to advise or to act on a certain matter from various stakeholders. It can be government, the private sector. A lot of them, you want to take them to a council meeting. That's how we have always operated. You take them to a council meeting, it is discussed, and then a resolution is made. In the absence of council meetings, none of that can happen. And it's very difficult now to take a decision to say, let me just do it myself. It's not really a good governance. So that it's been very painful, and especially when all you get tax.
Yeah.
But you just trying to do the right thing.
Do they get paid? The council members? If I'm a board member of the ECN there, do I get paid? Do I have? Because I'm asking because I'm saying if you've been dormant during that period, are you still entitled to any payment? Maybe a retainer. Sitting fees, of course, cannot take place in the absence of sitting. But
yes.
How is the situation there?
It's actually supposed to be sitting fees only. However, this particular council, when they started, they passed a resolution that they will not be taking any fees, any remuneration whatsoever. That was their decision. The minutes are there to show that they made that decision. No one forced them to do that. We have records of that. Now, in around 2020, we did a survey in terms of benchmarking sitting fees and so forth. Those survey results are there. We did a survey, we contacted the HPCNA, the Health Professions Council. We contacted the Namibia Council for Architects and Quantity Surveyors, even EXA in South Africa and ARB in Botswana, just to benchmark. So those results are there. They decided, I believe, at that time I believed these were good citizens that were just trying to help the country.
Okay.
Yeah.
We go for a very short break and then return with Charles Mukwaso. Our conversation continues with Mr. Charles Mukwaso. There's amid this quarreling that preceded the dismissal of the board, some of the board members have actually been, maybe, I don't know, gunning for you and accusing you of things. One of the things, for example, is that I think, if I remember, it says that in December 2021, that you were paid 3 times. Your salary, 13th check, and overtime of over $100,000. Whether that is true, and if it's true, whether it's out of regulation, I don't know. But what can you say about that?
Well, it's misrepresentation of facts. When we had the hearing, the one against me, when I was suspended, all of this was discussed.
Yeah.
It was their arguments were put forth. I provided evidence of whatever I got paid for and so on. And to be honest with you, the 101,000 that I've seen, it's a fallacy. Nobody has been able to defend it. In the hearing, if you look at the transcript, particularly Ms. Teki, she was asked now to have it broken down, like what was what, and so on. She failed. If you follow the transcript, you will not find anywhere where she successfully came to 101,000 Namibian dollars. So it's just a figure that she keeps flying around, so that it seems like it's a lot of money that this person got paid. And then the other thing that we discussed during the hearing was that in there they combined my 13th check, they combined my salary, they combined a lot of other irrelevant things, and then they call it this is overtime that I claim. No, it is not true. I did provide a lot of documentation and instructions to prove whatever was owed to me, whatever was paid to me. We had situations where we had to work a lot of weekends, a lot of public holidays, especially when we had to organize things like the meet and greet for January and so on. So it wasn't just me that worked overtime. My fellow staff members testified in that hearing that I was present working overtime and so on. And the law is very clear when you work, when you make an employee work overtime. And then also, there were moments when Ms. Teki herself, I provided text messages in the hearing. They are part of the documents that the Engineering Council of Namibia, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, have also been shared with the Ministry of Works and Transport, where she would contact me 5 a.m., 3 a.m., what are you contacting me for? Calling me, having conversations during those after hours. And then the chairperson of the hearing had to ask, okay, why were you instructing or discussing work with this person during these hours? And then now here you sit claiming that he's not supposed to be paid overtime, or you never authorized it. And then dating back to before she came to the Engineering Council of Namibia, we had a standing decision by council looking at the structure that we have, which is very insufficient to carry out all the functions, that authorized me to work, pre-authorized the work of overtime. So I submitted all of that information during the hearing. She's been walking around saying that the hearing did not touch on the merits. It's not true. We went a full 8 months going through details, and I provided counter evidence, and that's how things went. When you have a case, you defend, you accuse, you provide evidence, you provide everything you have. She failed to prove any of the allegations that she leveled.
Yes. So in the end, you were acquitted of all these things. So how did you return back to work?
Well, in the end, the chairperson of the hearing gave an order or a ruling clearing me of all of those charges, all of them. She did mention quite a number of irregularities that were conducted, which we all agree that these irregularities were as a result of knowing that what you have done or what you're accusing the person of is actually false, is wrong. So then you try and cut corners. At the end of the day, it's just marred with irregularities. For example, there was no investigation report. I was never interviewed. I was never given any audience like to be heard. I was never called before any panel to defend anything. I was simply suspended and then dragged to a hearing. We found out in the hearing that the person that was the accuser, which is Madame Teki herself, was at the same time the investigator, was at the same time the one appointing lawyers, pushing for who should be the chairperson of the hearing and so on. Of course, we eventually realized that there's a vendetta here. There is no way that someone would go to that extent without motive.
Yeah. And on the allegation that you took unilateral decisions, you registered unqualified individuals, including foreign students, without following due process. I don't know whether that was part of the things that you were accused of and that you were that formed part of the disciplinary hearing, or they happened afterwards. But what do you say to that?
No, it's absolutely not true. You see, in fact, that's new. It was not part of the initial things. So I also saw it now when the so-called letter is circulating and so forth. So that is not true. Every person who thinks that they have anything against me, they must bring it forth. This is now reacting or being reactionary to what has transpired. Now all of a sudden you have a lot of things to say. Why didn't she bring it up now before they were removed from office? Because I'm hearing about it after she left office. Now you see, foreign students, we don't really register them. The act is very clear. So she's talking about maybe Namibians who studied outside Namibia, because these ones, in terms of the act, when they come back, we register them. Now, there is a history to this whole thing. This country never had engineering offered at a professional level in the local institutions. So if you remember, there was a time when the government decided to put special emphasis on certain programs. It was engineering, medicine, I think law, and so on. And the majority, we know the policy of government, the majority of people that were being sent outside the country to study engineering were black people. It was previously disadvantaged people. I'm not saying there were no white people, actually, because I know where I studied, there were also white guys that were studying there as well. So it was not just always black people, but the concept or the mindset among those who did not understand was that it's just previously advantaged or people that look like me. So we have fought this battle before, whereby the institutions where we studied were demonized, were called names. They are not whatever proper institutions. These countries, why do someone studied in China, in Cuba, and so on? Yet we have them running electrical power plants at Nampower and so forth. We have excellent medical doctors who studied in Russia and so on. This person was part of that system that was accusing us of all of these things. So this is nothing new. When I went to the Engineering Council of Namibia, one of the things we decided to do was to do away with discrimination. So we started now looking at the merits of someone's qualifications. You come from Zambia with a qualification, we evaluate it, we see the merits of the qualification, and then if it meets the standards that we expect, registration must take place. And we did a lot of those for a lot of students. We found a backlog of graduates waiting for years, not months, 4 years. I waited, for example, 4 years, right? We found a long backlog. You see, when you're at the Engineering Council, you're not necessarily the only person there. There's a board. Even before this council, before Madame Teki came back, there was a council, right? So it's not like I was sitting there doing all of these things alone. Why hasn't she called in those people to come and testify to say, look, this person I suspect that he did this and that during the time you guys were here. What do you say? Why hasn't she done that? So this is just a gossiper. There is no such a thing. We have done everything possible to make sure that every Namibian child gets a fair shot at registration. The government is very clear on this issue from way back when I was also just a graduate, to say that no, there is a concern in the country. Why is it like this? Why do we send people to go and study, they come back, they are subjected to unfair processes? So she wants to restart that conversation. She must face the Namibian people and explain to them why a Namibian child who studied in China must not be registered in the Republic of Namibia where he was born.
In closing, Charles, I suppose the minister is probably busy assembling a new team now to take over from the one that was dismissed. What do you expect from this, from their new board? I'm asking, for example, to say, do you think this voluntary exercise of saying, look, we are just volunteering, we're not going to take any sitting fees or anything like that, do you think that that also has a bearing on people not really driven to sit? Do you think, for example, that the new board must be paid sitting fees? It's not a solution, but at least sometimes if the well-meaning people who congregate every now and then to discuss council matters and to make your job easier.
Okay.
Briefly, run out of time.
Okay, yes. So I'm not really sure, because I also know in the past there were requirements when you serve on a board, for example, non-power, and you work for the government, you're not supposed to get remunerated for that service. And those people were still performing. So I'm not quite sure if it's an issue of payment or it's just someone not being capable enough. Because when you look at how our council has been structured in the past, a lot of people are just coming from simple consulting engineering firms. They've never run a serious organization. They've never been even on a simple committee. And now they come to the board, because these nominations are usually done, you know how the act, Pre-Independence Act is. It allows nominations from consulting engineering firms. A lot of these people don't know how to govern a proper institution.
Thank you, Mr. Mukwaso, for coming around.
Thank you very much.
And really reflecting on that issue. So thank you very much. Nali Tumela.
Thank you.
That is Charles Mukwaso. He's the registrar of the Engineering Council of Namibia, reflecting from his perspective some of the things that happened recently at the council, including the dismissal of the board. Thank you for watching.